everyone. I'm having a slow morning at 2 p.m. right now, so I got my towel on here, but I wanted to hop on and, okay, sorry, just got a text. I'm gonna mute this. I wanted to just make this video really quick because I have a good friend who we have a lot of things in common in the arenas that I like to talk about, specifically with narcissistic abuse, and we can just relate very, very deeply with one another. And this person inspires me to tell my stories, and it's just a reminder that there are so many other people out in the world who are going through what we're going through. And I feel the weight of the loneliness and all the pressure and responsibility that was just put on us as survivors, as victims of abuse, that was never, ours to carry in the first place. And it feels like a curse because I want to make this concise. I'm just going to jump right in. And I'm going to go longer. I'm going to go into depth more in another video, but I just needed to get this out briefly right now. When I was sick earlier this year, I had a near-death experience. And I've been hesitant to call it that, but my body was shutting down. And my proprioception was not working. I had a flare-up when I was in Africa, in Benin, earlier this year in January. And I lost control of my bowels, and I felt like my body parts were like a Picasso painting. I had no orientation of my body. I was completely disembodied, and I felt like my leg was on the opposite side of the ceiling. And I was surrounded by angels when I had this flare-up, and I needed them to be there and actually hold me so I could feel my body, because I couldn't feel my body. I actually couldn't feel my body. And I remember I was handed a glass of water before I went into the flare-up, and it just slipped out of my hands because I had no strength. And for the next 24 hours, I was mostly sleeping and resting, and I was terrified to be alone and to not have anyone by my side, because I genuinely was afraid. What if I die? And what if I lose the capacity to walk over and ask for help? And what if I have another flare-up or something? I was the most physically vulnerable that I've ever been in my life. And I had these angel human beings sitting in a chair by my side while I slept, day and night. Like, every single person came and checked on me and asked what they could do for me, and they showed up, and that was like family. And then I got home to Florida to stay with my narcissistic mom, because I didn't have anyone else. I didn't have a place to stay. I didn't have support. I didn't have anyone I felt comfortable being that raw in front of. I didn't have anyone who would take care of me, so she would feed me sometimes, and I had physical shelter, and she could buy me groceries, with her shitty resentment, and entitlement and narcissism, even when I was going through all of this. And there was a moment where so my skin barrier was so destroyed and broken that I couldn't move. I couldn't wear clothes. I couldn't put even aloe vera or water on my skin without involuntarily trembling from the pain. I mean, my nervous system, the ends of my nerves were frayed and exposed, and it was a living hell. And this is very graphic, so trigger warning. I mean, trigger warning throughout this entire video, but it literally felt as if I may as well have been trapped in a torture chamber, having acid poured over my skin every single day, eroding it away, eating it. There were days where I would wake up and my skin would be covered in white flakes and cracking everywhere. whole entire body. And when you breathe, your skin moves, it stretches, and your body is supple and flexible. But mine wasn't. And so breathing was painful. And I was in constant agony. And I would have bursts of relief sometimes, but I was in constant pain. So there was one time I was having a nerve flare-up, and I was laying on my floor after taking a shower. I was naked, and I had a towel splayed over me, and I was laying in front of my space heater. And mind you, I lived in Florida, so it's hot outside, and it's tepid inside. And I couldn't regulate my body temperature, so I was in front of the space heater, and I was trembling. I was physically shaking from the overstimulation of my nerves. And I called my mom to come in my room to sit there for my own safety because, again, when I was having these flare-ups, I was afraid that I would die and that I would lose some kind of function over my body, and I needed someone there to make sure that I could have help if I couldn't move or I couldn't call them or if I needed to eat or something. I was just like an infant. I was that dependent, I was that vulnerable, and again, I'd never been that physically vulnerable in my life ever. And my mom was scrolling on her phone most of the time, and I don't even think she was there for longer than 10 minutes. Probably wasn't even 10 minutes. Probably more like 5 minutes, honestly. And then she got some like work call because she's a real estate agent for Keller Williams, and she was getting awarded for her real estate work, and I didn't know that that was the situation at the time, but she got that call and she had to walk out of the room, and I just flipped out, and I was like, why the fuck are you prioritizing a work call over sitting by my side? Mind you, I was genuinely terrified of losing control of my body and not having someone there to give me what I needed. And she left me again. And I flipped out and I got pissed off and I got angry at her. And I cursed her out. And it just was it was just this violent rage eruption towards her. And this is not the first time in my life that she has prioritized work or things other than my immediate safety. I mean, this is my mother. This is the woman who conceived me and bore me into this earth. This is the woman whose breast fed me as an infant. My mother, the one person whose biological role is to be there for her child, especially when that child is disabled and in need. And I'd never been in need like that before. But still she walked away, and when I was mad and erupted from fear and grief, she accused me of being selfish and scapegoated me again and did her narcissistic thing. My mom, my mother, the woman who gave birth to me, was accusing me of being wrong, for being terrified, upset, angry, enraged that she left me on the floor in the middle of a flare-up when I needed her to sit by my side, at least until the flare-up passed. But instead, she was responding to a work call about a very important award that she was going to be receiving from her workplace. And she texted our family group chat and got all kinds of applause and congratulations from them. And that moment popped any shame or false belief that I ever internalized about myself because of the way that I was mistreated. later on, I don't know if this was before or after she sent this text message to the group chat. I think it was actually after. But I had created a GoFundMe for myself, not even knowing that my mom was hoarding and controlling and hiding my money from me. It's a whole situation. I'm going to tell another story about it at some point eventually. And she committed financial fraud against me. I had more than enough money, and she was controlling it. And I didn't realize it at the time, and I wouldn't have created a GoFundMe if I didn't know that that was the situation. She was controlling my money. Again, story for another time. And thank you to the people who actually donated. Because I was trying to pay for hyperbaric oxygen therapy, supplementation, and therapy. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. Anyway, I created a GoFundMe. I shared it in my family group chat, and I've never felt close with my family. I've never felt warmth towards my family. I've never felt a real sense of safety and closeness and connection. That was just never there. And so this was the first time I ever asked for help from them. And I said to them, please read my story. This is what's going on with my health right now. I'm in a crisis and I need support. And if you can't donate, then I don't expect that. Just share it, read it, do what you can to help. My mom's reply to my message was her criticizing my word choices on the GoFundMe. That was her reply to that message. And then I got 2 sympathetic messages from my cousin and from my uncle. But that's it. No one called me, no one checked in on me. No one ordered food to me and had it sent to my door. No one ordered me groceries. No one called me. My family. When I asked my family for help, I don't even consider them family. I consider them my blood relatives. When I asked them for help, that's what happened. That's what happened. And then my aunt, who I am no longer in contact with either, who I used to have what I thought was a great relationship with, but she was covertly narcissistic and she would never take accountability for herself, and she was really good at manipulating me, and I couldn't, it wasn't like my mom, because my aunt would give me hugs and she would validate my feelings sometimes, and she was supportive in some ways, but she wasn't safe. And so when she would call me when I was going through my health issues in January, February, March, April, May, as long as I was in Florida, she would say, hey Leah, I'm calling you because I'm just checking in on you and I just want to make sure you're okay and I love you and I want to show up for you and I want to be here for you. And that's kind of what she would say. And she wouldn't say, hey, how are you doing, honey? How are you feeling today? Do you need anything? Let me know. I'm here. I got you. One of them is performative. One of them is genuine. And she was always more performative. She would always lead with, this is why I'm calling you. I'm calling you because I'm proving that I'm here for you. And lo and behold, that crumbled and revealed her true intentions, which were more performative than genuine. Because there was one day when I was doing my parasite cleanse and healing my skin, which, look at me now. I am, oh my God, the progress that I've made. Once upon a time, this was all destroyed. All the skin was dry, cracking, but look at me now. It is October. I started this in February. Look at me now. So, I texted my mom and my aunt in a group chat, and I said that I explained the state of my skin, like how I described it earlier, and I said that I was in agony and, my skin was cracking. I couldn't wear clothes. I could not fucking wear fucking clothes. I couldn't take a fucking shower. I couldn't bathe. Cold water, hot water, still water, shower water. Everything hurt. Aloe vera hurt. And the aloe vera that I used just had aloe vera and glycerin. It was not, and you know, even aloe from the plant, it hurt. Castor oil was actually the best, but if you know castor oil, you know how goopy and sticky it is. It's like, it's so sticky, it's like glue. It's like the gluiest oil that I know of. And if I'm wearing castor oil, I can't wear clothes because it's going to ruin my clothes. And if I'm wearing castor oil, I can't sit in my car and go drive to the park and walk around, because where I have castor oil packs, I need to wrap a bandage around my skin to actually hold that in, because my skin barrier is just can't absorb anything. So I was in a double, triple, quadruple bind. I couldn't move, I couldn't wear anything, and my skin was paper. Legit, it was paper. It was like paper. I could breathe and it would tug on some tight skin over here, and then it would crack. And there was a point where my skin was leaking fluid. It was just leaking lymph everywhere. It wasn't plasma, it was lymph, because it was just covered in this sheen of like wet fluid, because it was open all the time. It wasn't really bloody, but it was just open all the time. Anyway, I was complaining about that to my family, to my mom, my aunt. I said, I'm in agony right now. And my aunt said something like, you're so blessed. You're blessed, you're so sensitive. You know, your body's telling you that something's wrong. And I'm like, that was not the first time that she, you know, spiritually bypassed my agony. It's like if you go into the hospital and you're with someone in hospice and they're terrified, or you go console someone with cancer, you don't say like, it's a miracle you're still alive. Like, you hear how much pain they're in and you hug them, you fucking comfort them, you be there for them, you hold them, you know. And like, there's a time and a place when that wisdom is appropriate, and it is beautiful and it is true. But I was in agony, and I would reach for emotional support and empathy and understanding, and I would just get back bypassing. And I was never comforted. I was just in fucking hell alone, and I needed to be held, and I wasn't getting that. And so I flipped and I cursed her out too. And no holds barred, I unleashed everything that I needed to say to her. And I held her accountable, and I called her out, and I said, it is not appropriate to spiritually bypass me when I'm telling you that breathing hurts, and you're telling me I'm blessed. Shut the fuck up. Come fucking hold, like, where is your nurturing instinct? That's what was missing. Where is your capacity to care and hold me? My family. Of all people that I could ask, my family are the ones who don't know how the fuck to take care of me, how to show up. And after that, she stopped calling me, and I thought, I'm not going to reach out. I'm going to wait for her to show up and see what happens. She was more upset about me being angry and saying fuck you to her than my actual need underneath the surface that has been communicated before, that I learned to get, when I was like 18, 19, I learned to get so good at articulating my needs because of an upbringing of being denied them my entire life and them being missing. So from that pain, I learned to identify what it is that I needed, to communicate it, to ask for it. But my whole life, I was surrounded by people who would leave me because my needs were too much for them, my family included, and consequently all of the romantic partners and the close friends that I had then, my needs, my clearly articulated, perfectly communicated needs were too much. So it was never a me thing, you know what I mean? I was just brought up in a shitty situation, and that's what I learned, and that's what I found myself in repeatedly. Also partially because I was still dependent on these people for survival, and sometimes the reality of abuse is that you're dependent on abusive people for your survival, and it takes fucking miracles and courage and character to break that. And I'm going to be honest, I am lucky with my financial situation. I have money where people don't have money, so I am able to lean on this to provide my room, my supplementation, whatever. But I don't have a family. I don't have a dad. My sister killed herself. I lost all my friends. I thought they were my friends, but then when I got sick, they showed me that they weren't. They forgot my fucking birthday. My closest friends didn't wish me a happy fucking birthday. And I had people who kind of drifted out, and they would watch my Instagram stories of me crying for help. And so I blocked them all too, because I'm not going to have that, in my life. So anyway, my aunt went 3 whole weeks before reaching out to me again. And when she did, you know what she said? You know what she said? She asked me for favors. Oh, I accidentally delivered my groceries to your house and there's meat in there. Do you think you could drop them off to my house? Are you still going to help with that fundraiser for my friend with cancer that you said you were going to help with? 3 weeks later, like, why didn't you just do it yourself? Yeah, I said I would help, but I've already reached out to this person personally, and I'm actually incapacitated right now. So you're going to ask me for favors. And that's the first thing you say after 3 weeks of ghosting me, after I call you out for spiritually bypassing me when I was in literal hell. So this is just a chunk, and I have so many more stories to tell, because my life's purpose is to speak. My life's purpose is to speak, to be visible, to be heard. I set an intention this full moon to burn away invisibility, and my abusive, neglectful family and the friends and partners, whatever, that I was with who could not meet me or care for me or love me enough, especially when I needed it the most, they reflected a version of myself back to me that was convinced that she wasn't meaningful, she wasn't worthy. And that's such a fucking lie. And the neglect taught me to expect more neglect, and it taught me that I can't ask for what I need. I'm never gonna get it. But the thing was, I've learned to ask for what I need, and I've literally gotten this feedback from every single, close friend and romantic partner that I had, like, early on in my life, that I was the best communicator that I've ever been with. And I was like 18, 19, 20, 21 at the time, and I got that feedback unprompted from everybody. Because I'm articulate, and I look at what I feel, and I have that gift. Virgo moon. I'm a writer. I'm a speaker. I'm a words person. And I have clarity, I have clarity. And so I'm here telling these stories because, first of all, I'm done with shame. I'm done with shame. I'm great, I'm cool, I'm good, I'm normal, I'm like living my life, and I'm good enough how I am, as I am. I don't need to perform, I don't need to prove anything. First and foremost, I'm good enough. I don't need shame. And because I'm embodying this, it feels like part of my dharma and my calling to have integrated this into my nervous system and be a face that someone else who's going through what I went through can see and feed off of and heal themselves and recover. So I'm sharing this story because, one, the cultural, societal narratives that I should just pick myself up by my bootstraps and I'm not doing enough or I'm lazy because I'm, have money that I didn't work for, or, I don't have a job, or I didn't go to school, or I'm just traveling around the country and enjoying my life or whatever. It's like, that shit is so surface level and so not true to what I've been through, who I am, what I'm living, you know? And so I want to tell these stories to just purge that shame, because I've felt shame from people that I thought were my friends. You know what I mean? And it's like when I post on my Instagram the beautiful places that I go visit, and it's like a lot of people have told me that they were jealous of my situation, and I'm like, you do not know the fucking half of it right now to say that you're jealous. You're seeing a pretty landscape on the surface, but little do you know, these mountains and this beautiful lake that, yes, are freaking beautiful, so beautiful, don't take that for granted, but that is the single fucking anchor holding me together in my life. Like, I just became estranged from my family. I was just neglected and abandoned and abused by all the people who were closest to me and biologically most intertwined with me. And I only just cut those ties a few months ago, this year. And people don't see the whole picture on social media. And because I was, really alone, I only had one friend who I was really close with during this time. And this friend and I have had extremely similar experiences overlapping, so we're a big support for each other. But because I was going through this, I didn't have anyone to talk to. When I would post, like, the one-off moments in my life where I was at a beautiful national park or something, or this or that, it's like no one really understood what was going on. No one really got it. And then in person, it's like, how available are conversations like this? How common is it for people to walk on the street and find an institution where they can just walk in and dump their stories like this and get support and, get adopted or get taken under the wing of some random group of people whose purpose and cause is to support people who are suffering in that way? Like, it's not a common thing. And so that's why I want to share these videos, because it's real, it's real, and I'm not invisible. And just because people don't know how to address or sit with the reality that I'm sharing, or can't even comprehend how to even respond to or process what I'm sharing, it's like, it's not a reflection of me. But I think it's a sign that our world and our culture needs more education, and sufferers need to learn how to find their voices, to be heard. Project your voice so that the right people can hear you and team together and build community. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to build community. I'm here to create change on this planet. This is my life's purpose. It's a part of it, And I'm here to tell these stories to, again, destigmatize shame and show other sufferers and victims that, like, you have a friend, you have someone who sees you, who gets you, who can mirror you, who can guide you maybe. And yeah, I don't know. So I just had to share this, and that's it. I think I'm going to end this now. I'm going to wrap it up. I do offer some services. This is kind of my finishing, closing little moment. But if you, want to work with me personally or support me, I offer intuitive readings, and I have info for those in the description. And yeah, I offer that. But other than that, I'm just going to keep making videos, telling stories, and it's crazy because there's like probably hundreds or thousands of hours worth of storytelling and videos and things that I need to release. Like, there's so many layers here, but this is just the beginning. And it feels good to be able to kind of tell my story and have these things flow and everything. right now. And, you know, now that I'm in a place where it's safe for me to tell the truth without consequences or without fear of being controlled because I have all my stuff in order. I was taking care of that this year. That's another story. But anyway, if you're a victim or a survivor of abuse, it is not your fucking fault. It's not your problem. And neither is the fact that maybe you're surrounded by people who don't know how to take care of you or meet you or know what to say. That's not your fault. Doesn't make you crazy, stupid, wrong, doesn't mean anything about you. And I'm here to be your ally and share my story so that you know that you're not alone. And to raise awareness and to stand in my power after recovering it from everything that happened. So, yeah. All right. With that, signing off. I'll see you next time. Bye.